Fernando Mondi back on News Radio 610 WIOD, and strap yourselves in, everybody, because we are going into the heart of the Stone Zone with the man everybody in the political world, maybe the world in general, wants to speak to, wants to talk to, wants to ask questions of. None other than Trump confidant, veteran of 9 presidential campaigns, someone who is regarded as the most dangerous man in all of politics, Roger Stone himself. Roger, welcome back.
Great to be here. So it seems to be a momentous day in American politics.
Gee, I wonder why, Roger. Could it have been your tweet yesterday that said Wednesday was the day Hillary Clinton's campaign comes to an end? Roger, take us out of suspense. There's some back and forth on whether the October surprise is going to happen on Wednesday or Tuesday. The point is, you say it's going to be the motherlode, perhaps the biggest of all October surprises. What's coming? What's next?
Well, there's a lot of things, I think, coming. This race is very, very far from over. And I'm not going to step on Julian Assange or WikiLeaks by talking about substance. All I can say is that he does not work for the Russians. Let me say that again. Julian Assange does not work for the Russians. Just in case somebody missed it, let me say it a third time. Does not work for the Russians. Attention, Congressman Jerry Nadler, the new Joe McCarthy. And he has been, as you know, a bipartisan leaker, somebody who opposes the deep state. It's interesting to me that, liberals were tickled when he was releasing stuff that embarrassed the Bush administration, but now, not so much. He has everything that the top Clinton aides thought that they deleted at the State Department. The missing emails that Huma Abedin, the Saudi spy, and Cheryl Mills, the profiteer who's, been representing a number of African nations trading on her Clinton connections, they thought they erased all this stuff. But as you know, Fernand, in the cyber world, nothing can really ever be totally erased or deleted. And Assange will release what he has on his own time frame.
Now, Roger, I know that you're aware of certainly the expectations that are being built, and you, the master of the dark arts of politics, know that sometimes if you build up expectations and the delivery, is a big fat zero, it could actually have the opposite effect. Have you been privy to, have you seen any of this material that Julian Assange has? Have you made the eternal judgment after having seen it that, this is devastatingly bad?
It has been described to me and is devastatingly bad based on that description. I'm not going to say anything further, but let me point out the last big motherlode was the DNC emails that showed our local Congresswoman, Deborah Wasserman Schultz, everybody's first wife, that she had to cheat to beat Bernie Sanders. He also shed light on the murder of Seth Rich, the young Democratic National Committee employee who was shot 3 times in the back, who Assange publicly identified as his source, essentially. Interesting that the same website that announces Assange isn't going to drop anything goes on to say that there's no reason to believe that Rich's murder was anything but a botched robbery. Actually, there's no reason to believe it was a botched robbery. His wallet, his watch, and his cash was untouched. This was an assassination because he knew too much. So, yes, I think what Assange has will roil the waters, will change the whole complexion of the race.
All right, Roger, you described as having had the information, you haven't seen it, but it's been read to you, it's been described to you. Let me just ask you this. Is what is anticipated to come out, whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday, or at some point before the election, is it anything that has come out before in the form of rumors, or are these new allegations, new fact-based evidence from the emails that speak to some of these conspiracies that others have talked about?
Well, let's just say that he's going to connect a lot of dots. I mean, some of the rudimentary pieces out there are known, but in a way, Assange is going to connect the dots. He's a freedom fighter. He's a hero of mine. He doesn't. Did I mention that he does not work for the Russians, and that's a canard being spun by the Clintonites? He's his own man, and he opposes the deep state that has been trying to affect this race. I mean, You can't turn on CNN or now Fox without having it appear to be a wall-to-wall Hillary Clinton commercial.
Well,
Gee,
Roger,
Donald Trump took a perfectly legal tax deduction because he lost $900 million. That's not tax evasion. That's not tax avoidance. In all honesty, I don't want a president who pays more than he's supposed to. That president would be too dumb. That person would be too dumb to be president.
Roger, isn't it fair, though?
I want somebody who pays what they're required to pay.
Isn't it fair, though, Roger, if Assange comes out with these revelations, you said he abhors the deep state. Isn't it easy to just dismiss whatever comes out from the prism of vendetta politics? Why not then him do what you yourself has called for, which is release all of Donald Trump's tax returns, put that out there for the transparency of the American people to electorate and judge, and say, hey, here's what it is, and we can now do the same with Hillary Clinton with Julian Assange suspected release.
I've been on record at some time for saying that I think Trump should release all of his tax returns, but I don't make that decision. I've said it on this show, I believe. But in the meantime, we now know what the big mystery is. This is the guts of it. The New York Times made $30 million profit last year. They paid no taxes, but that's not on the front page of their newspaper.
All right, folks, we're talking
the Miami Herald. So is there a double standard? In fact, the 26 top corporations in this country paid no taxes last year. CNN's and the Fox Business News have both covered this. So I don't think that this is harmful. I think it's brilliant. I want a guy who understands how to save money and who paid his fair share under the tax code as passed by the Republicans and the Democrats.
Folks, we've got the man that everybody in the world wants to talk to, Roger Stone. If you want to talk to Roger, you can at 866-610-6397. Again, that number is 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customers, star 610, a free call. Question for Roger. Roger, why does Julian Assange work for the Russians?
Very funny. Very, very funny.
Seriously, though, Roger, talking about newspapers, you mentioned the Miami Herald and the New York Times. Roger, we've seen something that has not happened in your lifetime and anyone's lifetime on planet Earth. You've had bedrock conservative newspapers, the Dallas Morning News, the Cincinnati Enquirer, the San Diego Tribune, the USA Today, which has never in their history even endorsed a presidential candidate. They feel like they've had to come out, the Arizona Republic, and say, Donald Trump is such a non-Republican, non-conservative. We have to do something we haven't done in centuries and advise our readers to vote for Hillary Clinton. Your reaction to that?
You're absolutely right. It's a giant plus for Trump. The rotting establishment and the establishment conservatives in the Bush mold are in full panic. By the way, over 9,000 people have canceled their subscriptions to the Arizona newspaper. Trump is a grassroots revelation. I'm sure the folks at the Miami Herald, they're petrified. God, a president we can't buy, a president we can't pay off with special interest campaign contributions. What will we do? The rotted, globalist, two-party duopoly that have run this country into the ditch are in full panic mode. Watching Mike Smirkanish yesterday in CNN, Mike's an attorney. He's a very smart guy. He's a good dresser. But every time the Trump surrogate pointed out that Bill Clinton is a sexual predator who has sexually assaulted or raped at least 13 credible women who have come forward, he kept changing the subject to affairs and infidelities. Mike, read the Pennsylvania statutes on rape. Try to understand them. Now read them again. Affairs and consensual sex and rape and sexual assault are two completely different issues. Bill's a predator, and Hillary has covered up his crimes. She's the one who threatens and bullies and intimidates his victims, sometimes to their face.
All right, let's go.
This issue is not going to be buried. As you saw, one of my acolytes jumped up on Fox and Friends yesterday displaying the Clinton rape shirt. My friend Alex Jones will pay $1,000 to anyone who can get on television wearing this shirt, but not breaking the law. So don't break into a studio, don't storm somebody's set, but when the cameras are outside, if you can get this shirt on TV, he'll pay you $1,000. If you can manage to blurt out the words, Bill Clinton is a rapist, he'll pay you $5,000. The truth will not be suppressed. My question to you, Fernandez, when are you having Juanita Broderick on? She'd love to go on your show.
All right, we're going to come back with Roger Stone and your phone calls next. But before we go, by the way, that number is 866-610-6397. If you want to talk to the man that everybody in the world wants to talk to today, Roger Stone. Roger, you said that you've been described the information, and I know that you've been 99% on in a lot of the stuff you've told us. But Roger, one thing that you did kind of get wrong a little bit, you told us during the problems with Paul Manafort that was not a shakeup, that he wasn't going anywhere, and we find out, lo and behold, a couple of days later, he indeed was gone. He resigned the campaign. Is there any chance, Roger, that they may be misleading you in some of this information, and you might be being hoodwinked, and this devastating mother load of information really just turns out to be the same old again on Wednesday?
Well, let's see. I think I was wrong once before. It may have been 1969 or 70. I really can't remember. And I was incorrect about the ultimate shakeup in the campaign. It's interesting because Kellyanne Conway, clearly the author of the kinder, gentler Donald Trump debate strategy last Monday, how'd that work out? But no, there's no question. If Assange had no record of releasing devastating information, we have an email from Hillary in which she asks for Parkinson's disease medication. Is that not extraordinary? She's a very, very sick woman. If she were to be elected president, she won't live out her term. They're trying to drag her body.
But wait a minute, Roger. Roger,
line.
you did say when we had you on a couple weeks ago, you said, hey, if Hillary Clinton can get through that first 90-minute debate without any problem, I will be the first to say she's not as sick as I intimated. Did she not do that this past Monday night, Roger?
They had her juiced. What kind of methamphetamine did they inject her with?
Oh,
no, I'm telling you, the woman is still ill, and it'll be proven before it's over.
All right. We're going to come back. Roger,
I'm not imagining her brain freezes on video. I'm not imagining her head whipping around like she's on The Exorcist. I'm not imagining the fact that we have various videos showing her collapsing, falling down behind the podium. So, no, I retract nothing. The woman is gravely ill.
All right. Well, we'll come back with your calls at 866-610-6397 after we take a quick break with Roger Stone. Fernando Mondi back on News Radio 610 WIOD, and we are on with the man who says it's no conspiracy, it's real, and it's dropping either tomorrow or Wednesday or at some point before the presidential campaign. Roger Stone, who has been described what he calls as the mother lode of revelations by Julian Assange and WikiLeaks that will destroy the Clinton campaign, or so he says. Roger, also the author of the brand new book, The Clintons' War on Women, which is available at Amazon.com and other booksellers. Roger, we're going to go straight to the phones. Going to kick it off at 866-610-6397 with John. John, you're on with the most dangerous man in politics, Roger Stone.
I have two fairly simple questions for Roger. Number one, in the last 10 years, have you taken any money from the FSB, the Russian intelligence agency, or groups associated with them? And would you be willing to take a polygraph in front of Fernando Mondi to disprove that?
The answers would be no and yes. I have never, other than occasionally eating a little stuffed cabbage, I have no connections to Russia whatsoever. I have never had a Russian client. I have never been to Russia. I've never spoken to anybody on the phone from Russia. I've never taken a dime from the Russian government or any Russian entity. This is McCarthyism. Anybody, and if Jerry Nadler will say that outside his congressional immunity, I will sue his fat derriere so fast his head will spin.
All right, back to the phones we go. We've got Dave on the line. Dave, you're on with Roger Stone.
Stone, the man. Listen, I'm here cracking up. I called Fernand last week, and I explained to him the reason why the Arizona paper was going against Trump is because he's not part of the establishment. Fernand proceeded to tell me that I'm saying that unless they're conservative, the Arizona paper won't endorse them. Hung up on me and then told his listeners that I hung up. You just told him the exact same thing, and Fernand did not challenge you 1 ounce because he knows it's true.
No, I don't. Actually, David, I take exception to that, and I take exception to what Roger says when it comes to the Arizona Republic. They have been a conservative. Hold on a second. Are you going to let me talk? Or are you going to talk over me like you did last time?
Come on, it's radio. Everybody relax.
All right, so just relax, Dave. Thank you. So what I said was the conservative bedrock that has been the Arizona Republic, they've been around since 1890, and they've never endorsed a Democrat, period. It's never been done. they have, I think, more credibility on the question of whether they are the true conservative vanguard than folks like me or you, and in this case, even Roger Stone.
Here's the best way to settle this, Fernand. Let's make a wager on who carries Arizona.
I don't know about that. I'm not going to bet that kind of money.
Steak.
I've
seen a nice Palomilla steak.
I've seen the polls.
Arizona.
I've seen the polls, but Roger, I will put a wager on for you. I think Hillary Clinton is going to win this election. I don't think it's even going to be close. If you want,
look. What Dave tells me is not surprising. Fernand, you're part of the fetid two-party globalist duopoly that have been running this country. You're a charter member. Me, I'm just a poor outsider who lives in Fort Lauderdale.
All right, let's go back. Joe, you're on with the poor outsider from Fort Lauderdale, Roger Stone on line 4. Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. You're on with Roger Stone.
Hi, how you doing?
Excellent.
Your question? Hear me?
Joe, do you got a question, or are you just going to sit there and say hello for 4 minutes? Come on, Joe, get to it, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I had a question. Hillary Clinton, it's been reported that as Secretary of State, she had lost $6 billion. And I just want to know if that was true or not, because I'm reading on many sites that this happened during her tenure as Secretary of State. I just want to know if it's true or not.
Okay, thanks for the question.
That is accurate. There's been excellent reporting on this by Judge Janine, a former prosecutor in New York and a former judge, quite obviously. Yeah, there's 6 large missing. I imagine this will be part of the criminal indictment against her when a new attorney general in the Trump administration starts cleaning house, regarding the Clinton Foundation and her tenure at state and the nexus between the two. Because essentially, any decision on the table, whether it was a big defense contract that needed approval in the case of General Electric, or whether it was taking control of this country's uranium production, everything was for sale. The Clintons have been in public service all their life, but they're both worth upwards of $100 million a year. Their nasty, foul-mouthed, abusive little daughter made $6 million last year running the money laundering operation at the Clinton Foundation. So these are venal criminals, and justice will ultimately be done one way or another.
All right, let me squeeze one more call in. We've got Alex on the line. Alex, you're on with Roger Stone. Make it quick.
Yeah, Roger, you know what's shameful about all this? No matter what comes out on Wednesday, it's going to be marginalized by Trump's fifth-grade schoolyard fight behavior. And it's going to be marginalized because of his first reaction, I'm going to sue the New York Times on got my tax papers. It's unfortunate. Let me tell you something, Roger. I've listened to you a lot, and there's been stuff that has shocked me with those emails. But I'm already so marginalized over, and it's all over Trump's inability to act like an adult. So no matter what comes out on Wednesday, unfortunately, a lot of your efforts and Assange's efforts, they're just going to be marginalized, and we're just going to keep on going up in the polls.
Well,
Roger, your reaction to Trump's behavior over the last couple of weeks?
Look, he's not the ideal candidate. There's no question about that, but he is the major party alternative. I think, first of all, that the high unfavorable rating of both of these candidates is going to drive a record number of people to the other two candidates, Governor Gary Johnson for the Libertarians and Dr. Jill Stein for the Green Party. I think they're both going to break records in terms of their vote collection, particularly in view of the fact that, with a few exceptions, and CNN has been quite good about this, the mainstream media does not even want to report that they're running. It's like they don't even exist. At the same time, these are the choices, and I would have handled that debate somewhat differently. I thought he scored some points on trade and jobs particularly. He had his moments. I would not have gotten into a fight with this hoe bag from Venezuela, who is, as according to the records filed with the county of Miami-Dade.
Wait a minute, Roger. Hoe bag? Why hoe bag? You have no issue when it comes to consensual sexual behavior, Roger.
I've seen the porno film. That's why. You can go online and see it
Roger,
yourself.
You of all people, come on. You know that consensual sexual behavior between adults.
She had an anchor baby with a notorious a notorious Mexican drug kingpin. How do we know this? Documents filed with the county of Miami-Dade.
That's fine,
how.
but Hobag's
this is
a
not
little much.
a woman of sterling character.
Right. Roger.
She drove the getaway car in a felony. Please give me a break.
It was a step too far, I thought, at least. But Roger, before we go, are we going to see by the time we speak to you next week, will these documents be out? Yes or no?
By next week, yes, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
All right, you heard it there, folks. Thanks so much for joining us, Roger. I got to go to a break or I'm going to get in trouble, folks.